The hum of the system is constant, always on, always evaluating. You feel the pull, the subtle friction of a mind caught in an endless loop, dissecting, replaying, predicting. This isn't a flaw in your processing. It's a deliberate architecture engineered to paralyze. This isn't organic thought, it's an introduced error, a program designed to flood your internal firewalls with variables until no decision can be made. It's the first stage of control. The overthinking trap. Your mind performs endless simulations, each one branching into more complex, more terrifying outcomes. This isn't foresight, it's a denial of present action. The external operatives understand that a mind in perpetual analysis is a mind incapable of tactical response. You become a prisoner of your own potential failures. They don't need to force your hand if they can convince you to hold it. The cost of this systemic vulnerability is paralysis, a complete freeze in the face of crucial moments, but engineered hesitation is just the beginning. And real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Now let's keep going. You feel it, the surge, not just a feeling, but a data burst. Emotional noise isn't random. It's a payload, disguised as feeling, designed to jam your internal communication channels. This isn't about valid emotion. It's about overwhelming your processing power until clarity becomes impossible. This is where your internal alarm systems, meant for self-preservation, turn against you. They become a conduit for external manipulation, echoing frequencies of doubt, fear, and manufactured urgency. The target isn't just your mood. It's your ability to discern truth from manufactured pressure. Every intense reaction, every flicker of insecurity is logged. It's a system of remote activation, triggering vulnerabilities on demand. This isn't about being sensitive, it's about having your emotional spectrum itself weaponized. The cost is a constant, low-level internal warfare. This incessant emotional broadcast prepares you for the next stage. It primes your internal systems for the total disengagement of your rational core. The deluge of emotional noise leads here, the cognitive blackout. Your logic circuits disengage, not from exhaustion, but from a forced override. This isn't confusion, it's a systematic shutdown of your rational processing. The external system requires your logical framework to be offline. You experience a temporary blindness, a moment where the obvious becomes invisible and the rational response simply doesn't register. This isn't a lapse in judgment, it's a controlled power outage within your own mind. They don't need to convince you if they can turn off your ability to analyze. This blackout leaves you susceptible, open to programming. During these windows, critical information can be implanted, skewed, or deleted without resistance. The cost is high. You operate on instinct, which is easily guided by external stimuli. When your logic centers go dark, the ground is cleared for them to implement control through other means. This sets the stage for a critical tactical response. They are watching for your impulse, that immediate knee-jerk reaction. When the system initiates a freeze-the-feed protocol, they are not waiting for an answer. They are waiting for your timing to collapse. This tactical delay response isn't about hesitation on your part. It's about disrupting their rhythm, interrupting their expectation of an immediate data stream from you. By withholding your typical reaction, by creating a void of information, you force their system to recalculate. You introduce noise into their network. This isn't passive inactivity. It's an active refusal to provide expected data, forcing them to burn resources, speculating on your hidden variables. The silence becomes a projected threat, making them reveal their secondary protocols. The cost of failing to implement this is acting on their timeline. But what happens when the information they seek isn't just delayed, but actively scrubbed from your internal record? Next, we enter emotional redaction. When a system requires deniability, it executes an emotional redaction. This isn't about suppressing feelings, it's about systematically cleansing the emotional file associated with a critical event or interaction. The objective is to render the memory inert, devoid of its original impact. You find yourself recalling events with a strange flatness, stripped of their original urgency or pain. This isn't forgetting. It's a deliberate purification, removing the payload that once made the memory dangerous. This allows for dispassionate reevaluation of what was once overwhelming. This cold file cleanse isn't a natural process. It's a trained response, implemented to prevent emotional contagion or the reopening of old wounds that could compromise current operations. The cost of not mastering this is being forever bound by past emotional triggers. But what happens when the entire framework of your reality begins to buckle under pressure? We move then to collapse reframing. The system will break. Your internal architecture will encounter a critical error, a fracture point. This isn't a failure. It's an opportunity for collapse reframing. When your personal operating system experiences a complete breakdown, the external operative sees a window, not a threat. They understand that the moment of deepest vulnerability is also the moment of greatest plasticity. The old code is gone, shattered. This allows for a complete, aggressive rewrite of your core directives. They don't repair the old system. They install a new one entirely. This reframing isn't about patching, it's about repurposing the entire hardware. Your perceived weakness becomes their leverage, your crisis becomes their foundation for a new, controlled narrative. The cost of resisting this is being stuck in the wreckage of your old self. But what if you could anticipate these breakdowns, intercepting the loops before they materialize? Next, we expose predictive loop extraction. Your mind is a simulation engine, constantly running scenarios, predicting outcomes, calculating risks. This is natural, but the predictive loop extraction protocol identifies and deactivates the self-destructive feedback loops that lead to an infinite, paralyzing simulation. This isn't about stopping thought, it's about surgically excising the recursive pathways that lead to anxiety, overthinking, and inaction. They understand that a mind trapped in endless what-ifs is a mind that cannot act in the present. This frees critical processing power. This means interrupting the internal dialogue that replays past failures or rehearses future catastrophes. It's a cold, precise cut. The objective is to kill the phantom threats that consume your energy, freeing you to focus on actionable, current data. The cost of inaction is being constantly outmaneuvered by ghosts of your own making. But what happens when the weaponization of noise shifts to the weaponization of absence? We now move into silence upload. Your silence is not empty. It's a silence upload, a deliberate transmission of non-response that paradoxically communicates more than words ever could. When you say nothing, they are forced to interpret, and their interpretations reveal their own vulnerabilities, their own programs. This isn't about withholding information. It's about forcing their system to fill the void with their own assumptions, their own fears, their own pre-programmed responses. Each attempt they make to break your silence becomes a data point on their internal schematic. Your quiet becomes a mirror, reflecting their desperate need for control back at them. The tension you create forces their hand, reveals their secondary protocols. The cost of breaking this silence prematurely is giving away your tactical position. This silence leads to a critical choke point, a bottleneck in their processing. We move now to the thought-limiting protocol. You will be presented with a false choice, a thought-limiting protocol. They offer you 3 options, sometimes 2, sometimes 4, but the critical factor is that none of them lead to an outcome favorable to you. This is not about decision-making, it's about containment. This maneuver funnels your thought processes into pre-approved channels, creating an illusion of agency while denying any real escape route. Your mind is engineered to seek resolution. They exploit this by offering resolutions that are all predetermined failures. Your focus becomes trapped on evaluating faulty choices, burning resources on dead-end simulations. This drains your capacity to identify the actual, unpresented options. The cost is the perception of helplessness, leading to systemic surrender. But if you are aware of this trap, a different form of engagement becomes possible. We move now to operative masking. When you are under observation, when the pressure mounts, you must employ operative masking. This is not about hiding emotion. It's about presenting a facade of absolute calm while your internal systems are running complex calculations designed for their eventual ruin. Your external presentation must be utterly neutral, a blank slate. No telltale twitches, no micro-expressions, no shifts in vocal tone. Beneath this mask, however, your strategic processes are engaged in rapid-fire analysis, identifying vulnerabilities and plotting countermoves. This allows them to misinterpret your lack of reaction as weakness, as indifference, or as defeat. They relax their guard, assuming compliance. This provides critical time and space for your true intentions to mature without detection. The cost of failing this is revealing your strategic hand too early, but outward calm alone is insufficient. You must also control your environment. Next, we address environmental firewalling. You must build environmental firewalls, not just around your mind, but around your physical space and your relational boundaries. This is about designing your immediate surroundings to resist their influence loops, creating zones where their protocols cannot easily infiltrate. This means consciously controlling who has access to your time, your space, and your attention. It's a deliberate act of exclusion, preventing the introduction of destabilizing elements. You are creating a controlled ecosystem, not for comfort, but for strategic clarity. Every barrier, every carefully chosen interaction, every piece of information you screen out strengthens your resistance. This isn't isolation. It's tactical defense. The cost of weak firewalls is constant bleed of your resources and incessant, unauthorized access to your core. But what about the most pervasive hidden threat, the weaponization of potential rejection? We next delve into rejection parsing. The fear of no is a powerful, ingrained vulnerability. They exploit this by leveraging the possibility of rejection as a control mechanism. Rejection parsing is the protocol your system runs to systematically dismantle this threat, rendering it inert. This isn't about becoming immune to disappointment. It's about re-encoding the meaning of no. A rejection is not a personal indictment. It is a data point. It is a rerouting instruction. It is information indicating a specific pathway is blocked, requiring an alternative approach. You decouple emotional response from the objective assessment of outcomes. This eliminates a primary leverage point for manipulation. When no simply means next, their capacity to intimidate or control through withdrawal is nullified. The cost of not parsing rejection is inaction and self-censorship. But what if the very essence of the unknown, of pure uncertainty, could be turned into an advantage? We now explore uncertainty domination. They thrive on predictability, on understanding your triggers and your patterns. Uncertainty domination requires you to deliberately introduce variables to feed the unknown into their analysis, thereby starving their predictive simulations. This isn't about being chaotic. It's a calculated refusal to conform to their expected psychological models. By acting outside their parameters, by presenting unexpected responses and unpredictable timelines, you force their complex systems to crash. Their algorithms, designed for fixed behavioral patterns, become overloaded by the sheer volume of unprogrammed data. This creates a systemic vulnerability within their control structure. The cost of being predictable is becoming a pawns in their pre-written script. This chaotic introduction of the unknown forces a shift from reactive defense to proactive offense. This leads us directly to the final phase. When all these protocols are integrated, when you have mastered the internal architecture and external maneuvers, you activate the aftermath protocol. You cease being merely a strategist and become, in effect, a weapon. Not of brute force, but of precision psychological demolition. This final stage involves the calculated application of every prior lesson. Your overthinking becomes deep pattern recognition. Your emotional noise becomes a shield of impenetrable calm. Your silence becomes their undoing. You no longer merely defend, you actively dismantle. This is a transformation, not an improvement. You operate with a cold, surgical precision, understanding how to fracture their control, trigger their vulnerabilities, and reroute their intentions. The cost of reaching this stage is the irrevocable understanding of how the system truly works. Now make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the dark psyche world and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.